65 years old, been married for 40 of those years, and raised a bunch of good-looking, hard-working boys. And I am a history buff. I went to college, but I found beer and pizza and did not graduate, which was a good thing though, because it made me move to the place that I love, which was Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And that really fed my love of history. And it's really kind of started my pack ratting collecting.
In my memories, it always starts with the sound of keys.
Magic chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Chicken was already unlocked.
Every time he opens his roll-top desk, it's like turning to the first page of an exciting and sprawling novel. My brothers and I have felt this way since we were kids, when we would crowd around Dad and plead with him to tell us more about this strange collection of items he's been curating since before any of us were born. There's no organization or hierarchy to any of it. Bits and pieces of our family history are mixed with American and world history. The irreverent is valued just as much as the sacred. Precious memories sit next to items whose significance isn't quite known. Adding to my eternal fascination over this is the fact that Dad is one of the least materialistic people I know, just one of the many qualities I admire about him. So recently, we sat down, and I asked him what drives him to continue collecting this junk, as he calls it.
Some things are family related, some things are just off the wall, but I don't collect just one thing. I find weird stuff. This is a bottle of wild turkey that was brought to me by my wife in 1981. She got it on a flight going to San Diego. It's been in my desk since '81. Now, my biographer here, Mr. David Williams, has agreed to drink a toast upon my death with this, which I'm sure will probably bring his death on quickly after. I find it fascinating, and I love putting it in my desk. And my kids come by, and they love to take a look at the stuff, and I get to explain to them where I got it and what it means to me. This was a button I picked up at a thrift store, and I recognized it immediately because I've seen it in pictures before. It says, "I am an American." This was the button that was worn by Japanese Americans when they were taken to internment camps at the beginning of World War II. And I think that means so much. I mean, that really gets me when you imagine somebody whose life and livelihood was taken away from them in an instant. At no, it wasn't their fault. They weren't a cause of it, but they were taken away, and yet they still wore this button because they were an American, and we came to realize that later in the war. In a way, it preserves the history of individuals. I mean, you can read about big battles and presidential elections and things like this, but I've got things like a ration book from a family during World War II. I've got personal items that came to me from my mom. It's just kind of saving them from the trash pile or a burn pit. It may not mean anything to anybody else, but to me, it personalizes history in a certain way. This is from my youth, and people of my generation will probably recognize it immediately. This was actually a roach clip from the days of marijuana use, which the mid to late 70s was a wonderful time. It got a lot of use, as you can tell, by the charred end. When we were kids, we didn't have all the video games and all the fun stuff kids have today, so we spent most of our time outside. And one of our favorite things would be to go to a freshly plowed cornfield, and we would find Indian arrowheads and pottery. I even found a large shark's tooth, and we live 80 miles from the coast, that just fascinated me. This little soldier, I had a cheap metal detector in my backyard here at my present residence, and when it went off and I dug this up, I was thrilled. This is a cast iron lead soldier. Looks like World War I. Wasn't my kids, wasn't mine, but some little boy who lived in this house previously would have played with that bad boy, and it has a place of honor in my desk. Mostly my prized ones are family related. And in fact, the one that probably means the most to me is the simplest one of the bunch. May I?
Oh, please.
This little jar has dirt in it from my childhood home, the pitcher's mound in particular. But this is where I grew up, played ball with my brother, our friends, till darkness would descend on us every summer evening. And I just wanted to take a little bit of it. We couldn't keep the house, my brother nor I. So I bottled up a little bit of my ancestral dirt. When I'd open my desk, there would be little hands and little eyes everywhere. And what's this, Granddaddy? What's this, Daddy? What's this? What's this? My grandkids are the same way. What's this, Granddaddy? What's this? Kids loved it. They were just curious to all the different items. They had no idea what most of them were, but you know, they had to ask the questions anyway. And it brought a smile to my face to kind of show them off a little bit too. This is a dove that was on my and my wife's wedding cake. I put it in my pocket that day, and it has been on the wedding cake of all of my children. So far, 4. I have 1 more to go. So the dove is waiting for that final cake, and then I'll find a nice little nest for her to stay in my desk forever. And then I found these. These are postcards from the liberation of Paris during World War II. Some excellent shots, snapshots in time. This $1.50 was the lunch money that was going to be sent with my youngest son on his last day of school. This is a postcard of a battleship going through the Gilliard Cut at the Panama Canal, who the chief engineer on the Gilliard Cut was my great-great-uncle David DuBose Gilliard. And if you listen to my mom, he single-handedly dug the canal with a shovel. I hope that my boys are going to come one day when I'm gone, and they're going to divvy up all of my treasures. I feel like 90% of it may not make it to anybody else's home, may go to the trash can because it's just odd thing. But there's a bunch of stuff in there that if they know the history of it, if they let me explain it to them, they might just be interested in keeping them. I really hope that's true, because I've been collecting this stuff since I was a kid, and it means a lot to me, and I hope it'll mean a lot to my children and my grandchildren.